Look, as we've been saying, coping with COVID-19 seems to have endless challenges. The tragedy of losing loved ones, loss of livelihood and isolation. In many cases, people are in confined spaces, often leading to bitter arguments between spouses and partners, even domestic violence. Anxiety and depression have also taken their toll on many families. As though that's not enough, throw in the scourge of stigma attached to the virus and the added hardships some have to endure, like 33-year-old Najma Ebrahim from Phoenix in Durban. I want to bring in our reporter, Jayed-Leigh Paulse. She's live for us in KwaZulu-Natal, in Phoenix, in fact. She has Najma's story. Jayed-Leigh, tell us more.
Well, a very good morning to you, Blaine, and to the viewers. And like pretty much this morning, what your guest was saying, mental health also plays a huge impact on many people during COVID-19. And here in KwaZulu-Natal, where the infections are rising, there are several people who unfortunately have lost loved ones who don't have anyone to care for them. Stigma is also rife as well. There are still a lot of people who are going through the stigma of having COVID-19. Now, Najma Ebrahim is here with us to tell us her story. She lost several of her family members last year, and she was also stigmatized here in the community of Phoenix. Najma, thank you so much for talking to us. Just tell us about your story. You told me off air that you lost your dad. You had a funeral for him. He was subsequently then positive COVID-19. Tell us about the stigma that your family endured.
So it was a very, very difficult time for us, Jade. What had happened is once Dad had passed on, a few days later my brother tested positive, and then the rest of my family. We lost my brother exactly a week after my dad. And having been one of the first families within this community that had actually gotten the virus, we were put up on social media. My details, my personal details were put up. People were just circulating things about us which was so untrue, and it caused me a lot of stress, my family, a lot of stress and anxiety. Having lost two loved ones recently and then having to go through that, it caused immense emotional damage to us. And within the Indian community, mental health, there's a stigma attached to it. But I decided to seek help for it. I feel that there's absolutely nothing wrong in doing that. So we took the steps in the right direction. Yes, it was a very trying time for us, but we are healing from it.
I just want to go back to the passing of your dad. And subsequently that led to you having, depression, with the community now shunning you guys, and basically just the stigma that's attached to COVID-19. But take me through that period, because at the time of father's passing, COVID-19 wasn't really that rife here in the country. We were still trying to grapple with it. People were still trying to figure out what exactly was this virus. And you were one of the first families here in Phoenix that tested positive. So take me back to that time.
So correct, it was very new and people didn't know how to react to it. The time that we got sick, I wasn't even, I couldn't even be there for my brother's family, when he passed on. There was no one to come home and console us. We couldn't console his family. The community there were people that would walk across us on the other side of the road once we had even come out of quarantine. Those are the things that we had to face. People that saw us, once we're out of quarantine, if we went to the shop to get something, there were people from our road that saw us and turned away from us. Although there were some horrible experiences, we did have some positive ones as well. My neighbors and some family members were absolutely amazing in taking care of us and our daily needs and necessities. So there were good and bad to it, but because we were in a time where it was so new, I think we received the worst backlash from the community. So it was a very difficult time for us.
And even now, there are still so many families who are still going through this in their respective communities across the country. But Najma, you've also turned your pain into power. You have an initiative that you're running. Tell us about that.
So I started a soup drive. It's not an organization or anything that I've started, just something that I'm purely doing to assist the community, because these are very trying times that we are going through, very difficult times, and I feel that we need to be there for each other. I wouldn't want anyone to go through what I went through in the time that we were sick with COVID. So I started the soup drive. I basically just circulate something on social media that I'm offering soup and home remedy COVID packs. So soup, bread and home remedy COVID packs to anyone that's COVID positive. People send me their details, and my husband and I together, we prepare it, we pack it, and then we go and deliver it.
Why did you start this? Was it because of the stigma that you endured and that there was no one coming to assist your family when you were in quarantine? Why did you start this initiative?
So the main reason, Jade, if you look around us, this is, I don't even have words to explain what we are experiencing at the moment. There's just loss and sorrow all around us. So I try to think of ways where I can give back to the community and do something to make a difference to somebody, even if it's just for a moment. I know when we were unwell what we went through, and there were times where I couldn't even wake up to prepare something to eat or prepare for my family. So I don't want people to go through that. I just want to support people and give them a little bit of joy, a little bit of hope. Hope is the most important thing that our community needs right now, because it's the only thing we can hang on to.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with us, Najma, and the good work that you're doing here in the community of Phoenix. Well, Blaine, that was Najma Ebrahim. She and her family were one of the first family members here in Phoenix to test positive with COVID-19. She lost her father last year, several other family members, but the stigma that was attached to this family was also very painful. They went through a lot. But she turned her pain into power. She started a soup kitchen, and she's assisting those in need in her community, dropping off soup for those that are in quarantine and also supporting them through this journey. Blaine.
Yeah, the pain of the pandemic is real, isn't it? And you see it on Najma's face, you hear it in her voice. Thank you very much indeed, Jayed-Leigh, for bringing that story to us. Be well. All right, it leads